All right, we're going to continue on with taping some parts. The next thing we're going to do is this, which is the lower part of the coin sensor. And it is just a blocky U-shaped part with 5 holes. And we're going to be using our duct tape in this step. We're also going to be using our metal foil tape in this step, so make sure that you have that nearby. Sorry for the extreme close-up. I was trying to use some camera settings that make it a little bit easier to see this work. So the idea behind the coin sensor here is that if my right hand here were the front of the machine, one of the places that a coin can come in is right here, and it's going to roll across the coin sensor and strike the second part of the coin sensor, which we're not going to work with it right now, but it's this part here. So the way it works is that the coin will roll across this lower ramp and strike this upper ramp. That's where we detect it, and then it gets turned and it falls down into the coin box that we built earlier. We are going to have to do some taping on this upper coin sensor as well, but for now we'll just do the lower. This is another place where we like to use a little bit of duct tape for padding, just to make sure that the coin isn't bouncing on its way to the sensor. So similar to how we did the baffles earlier, just going to take duct tape off the roll and get it onto my work surface adhesive side up. Now, we're going to have to work upside down, which means that the part that I'm looking at actually isn't the top. This is going to be the top because we're using tape that is upside down. So what we want to do here with getting the tape onto this part is use a little bit of masking tape to tension the duct tape, because we want to make sure that the sensor is nice and flat. So I'll just stick some masking tape to the duct tape and pull it tight and flat, make sure that all the bubbles are out of it. And what I want to do here is just make sure I'm duct taping as far as these 2 holes. We want to make sure they're covered with duct tape. But this tab right here, we also want to get into the tape. So we just need to make sure that it's about like that. Just like that there. And then we'll just take our hobby knife or whichever sort of cutting tool we're using and trim the tape exactly like we did for the baffles. Just following the shape of the part. Including cutting it down here where the tab is, which is just kind of an annoying series of shortcuts. And if I've cut everything nicely, it should just lift away. And I have. So there we go. We got a very tight application of tape that will serve as just a little pad here. We're going to repeat that process for the other side of this, because coins can come in the left or the right side of the machine. So we have coin sensor elements on both sides. So just get myself some duct tape. And some masking tape. duct tape layer tight. Fix it down. Now, as I said before, we're working upside down, so the part that we've already taped, we want to get that facing downward, and then push this side of the sensor into tape. That way the tape comes out on the same side of both parts, or both ends of the part. And then the trimming. Just now. All right, there we go. Now that is padded, and we are half done with this part. The next thing we're going to do is do some metal taping. All right, now that we have our cushioning tape on our coin sensor, our lower coin sensor, we're going to be applying some foil to the sensor. So I'm just going to cut off a strip of this foil tape. Now, we don't use switches, mechanical switches inside of the Crow box. What we do is we have our own foil sensors where the coin, the metal coin itself, actually completes the circuit, and that's how the coin sensor works. So we're going to be applying a layer of foil tape over the cushioning duct tape that we've already applied. So one thing I want to do, just to make this easier, is I'm going to bring this line from the front to the back here, just so I know where my tape ends, where my duct tape ends. So I'm just going to use a pencil for that, on both sides, because I want the foil tape to extend just a little farther than the duct tape does. So I'm just going to take this foil tape, and I need to have my masking tape nearby because we're going to be using the same technique of taping the tape down. So to get started, I'm just going to start getting the paper backing off the foil tape. And I'm going to try to gently pull this so that the foil tape doesn't bend too much while I'm doing it. I'm just going to expose enough foil that I'll be able to tape it down to my work surface, and I'm putting a crease in the paper, part of the tape, so that I have good access to that foil. Now I'm going to start at one edge, and I'm going to push that foil tape down pretty well as I tape it to try to get it flat. Then I can just roll this paper away, and then the foil's going to pop up when I reach the end here a little bit. So I'm just going to stick masking tape to foil tape here, and then pull so I can get that nice and tight and flat. Tape it down. Now again, I want to tape over the duct tape, so I'm going to flip this over, and then my line here is visible for where my duct tape ends on the other side. So I'm going to push just a little past that, and then press that down. And I got maybe what, 1/8 of an inch, a few millimeters here, 3 maybe, of foil past my duct tape line. And then, as we have before, we're just going to go around and trim the foil tape away. And then I'm going to gently lift this out. Make sure everything is cut. And it looks like I haven't quite cut everything down here, the masking tape end. So I'm going to see what's going on there. Finish trimming that properly. There we go. Now it's come away. Just clean up that behind here. get ready to do the other end. Now we'll just repeat that procedure for the other side. So I'll just get my paper backing off of here. Fold it down so I can tape the foil to my work surface. Nice and tight, flat. Then I'm going to look at my sensor here. Here's the side that we foiled, the side that's still duct tape. So remembering that I want to get a little bit more foil past this line, I will push my tape in right here. And then trim the edge. I need a little bit more careful trimming here, it looks like. I didn't cut everything down here. There. Alright, so that's all we need to do for the lower coin sensor for right now. We're going to tape the upper next. So before we put this part aside, I'm just going to use my hand to really flatten all that tape out together, the two layers of tape. There we go. Okay, the next job is taping the upper coin sensor, which is quite a bit easier. We don't use any duct tape on this step, only foil. And the foil tape is going to be applied here at this chamfer, and it's going to run across these two bolt holes here in the part. So to get that right, we need to take our piece of tape and cut it down to about a 30mm width. So I look at this piece that I cut off the roll. I've got a pretty square cut on this side, and this other side here isn't cut so straight. So what you want to do is get this just straight to your eye is good enough, and measure 30mm. Three centimeters at each end of the tape. Just draw a line between those two marks. And it isn't scientific precision. In fact, this spot here is 33mm in width. So we've got a little bit of space to work with there. Now I'm going to trim this tape along that mark, and then if I just look at it here, looks like it fits that chamfer really well. So we're going to do the same thing we have been doing, which is tape our foil tape to this surface and apply it. The thing that's different about what we're doing this time, and I'm going to use this piece of tape here to show you, is we're actually going to be wrapping this part though, like that, because having tape on this inside, having foil tape on this inside edge is the important part of how this sensor works. So I'm going to use the same little procedure we have been for getting this foil tape secured to the work surface with masking tape. Just like that. Trick is, I'm going to try to get this line here perpendicular to my tape as best I can. eye precision is enough. So I'll just press that in like that. And then take this masking tape here and lift it and let it lift the foil tape with it and fold with tension across that front edge and then over just like that. And if I press this down, I can see the edge very well. And now I'm going to just trim that. And also trim at the bottom. And this should free the part from all the tape. Looks like I got a little bit of masking tape stuck in there, but that doesn't matter where that is. The important part is, as I showed, this front edge here has foil, and we have foil contact going back here to where our screws are going to be so that we can screw some wires to this part and have a working sensor. So we just need to do that process one more time for the other side. So I'll just clip off a little tape from my roll, square the sides, just so I have a good way to measure this. Make my 30mm marks. Cut that tape to width. All right. And again, I want to take this oddly angled part and get it perpendicular to my tape. Pop it right in there. Fold. Get some tension in the tape. Apply it, press it down to find that seam, trim the seam, and then again at the bottom, press everything into place really well. And I like to also squash this tape so that those screw holes are visible again, just because we're going to need to poke through those later. And that is the top part of the coin sensor. And we're going to wire those up later, but for now, we'll just put those aside. We've got some other work to do.